the old ancient order that's passing away. Christians should have nothing to do with them. God's got nothing to do with them. No, far from it. Authorities do still have a part in God's purposes. It talks about God establishing them. It talks about them being God's servant. And Christians, therefore, are not to reject and to rebel against all authority on the grounds that it is de facto in opposition to the authority of Christ. That might be what would be thought if Christ is Lord and Caesar isn't Lord in the way he claims to be. Maybe Caesar is absolutely nothing. Maybe rulers and authorities just need to be rejected. And perhaps reflecting that way in which Christ was careful not to just say, have nothing to do with the tax system. Paul also talks about give everyone what you owe him. If you owe taxes, pay taxes. If revenue, revenue. If respect, then respect. If honour, then honour. That's at the end of that section in verse 7. Quite clearly there, reflecting continuing ongoing respect and obedience that's going to be called for. But what is the task of these rulers? Well, they are not Lord. They are not divine. All those claims that were still obviously being made, and increasingly scholars, particularly people like Tom Wright, again, have been pointing out how the imperial cult of the worship of the divine emperor is an important backdrop for some of Paul's ministry and mission. No, Paul is quite clear. They are not divine. They are God's servant, he says in verse 4, picking up some of the language that we saw was used of rulers in the Old Testament, used for Israel's rulers, also used for pagan rulers. Cyrus is described as God's servant in Isaiah. And they have a particular purpose. And again, it comes back to this whole theme of doing justice, of good, public, just judgment. They are an agent of wrath to bring punishment on the wrongdoer. That's the calling that Paul describes in Romans 13 as the calling of those in political authority. Again, it's part of this response